We're going to sit for a minute and excited to talk about a really powerful topic today. It's going to be a practical video. It's also going to be a short video. Michelle is here.
Hi. I haven't been on the podcast in a very long time. We are I'm due to be back.
Why is that?
You've been busy. I've been busy.
You've been busy. Michelle runs the operation, everybody. Michelle makes sure that the mindful habit runs smoothly. But let's kick things off. Ready? You wanna start? Hey, let us know who's joining us. Feel free to say hi in the chat. What we're gonna do today is go through the list. Well, why don't you explain what we're gonna go through today? This is your list that came about from a really difficult point in your life. And so this list represents what you say to the world is, hey, here's 10 things that other women can do to make themselves feel better.
Well, okay. Yeah. Well, we got the topic for today is really a topic for the partners, and it is at the end of the day
for the men too.
Well, for the men too.
For the men too.
Yeah. But we started this podcast together.
We did.
And this whole thing
anonymously.
Yes. And the whole thing pretty much started from this My Spouse Survival Guide. When we went through what we went through, it was very hard. It was very traumatic for me. And when I went out in the world and I was kind of searching the internet for some help and support, I found everything to be very negative. And I found it to be not making me feel good and making me feel worse. And it wasn't helpful at all.
You felt shame.
I felt shame. I felt
embarrassed.
I felt scared. I felt overwhelmed. I felt pretty helpless, and I didn't know what to do. So once the dust settled, and then I decided that I wanted to approach this from this time, because it wasn't the first time we had been through this.
By this, you mean you, because we have new people who don't know even who we are. Mm-hmm. People listening who might not know who we are. But what she's talking about is my mental health breakdown, where I got consumed by my sex addiction, porn addiction, serious mental health issues, tried to hurt myself, was fired, was hospitalized. I had no regard for the family. It was a really, really, really dark place. And so this journey, the mindful habit journey, started with Michelle, finding a lot of shame in what the help she was getting, and started a blog.
Yes. Started a blog.
Because the blog led to this.
Right. I wasn't going to get into all of that. I don't even know if the blog is still up, but I had a blog, and it was meant to be to put myself from a partner's perspective, a partner that is dealing with their addict husband and the effects,
asshole husband, and abusive husband.
Yes, and the effects that it has on the partner. And I wanted to approach this from a place of being empowered and learn to kind of just manage life a different way, from a more positive space. So once
some of the categories that she was automatically put into were she felt they were disempowering.
Yes. And it was just stuff I didn't connect with. So,
well, because what she also did, can I say this though?
Yes.
She also said she is done being manipulated by my addiction. That was a big moment. And
yes.
That's the whole nature of the empowered thing, was you kind of saying.
Yes, but that came a little bit later.
Yeah, okay.
This is a survival guide.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to stay
focused on the survival guide. I'm sharing where it came from, but I understand.
That came later because of this.
Yeah.
You understand that? That came later. That because I was able to. So at this time, I had decided that when we go through what we go through, and you find out everything that's happening with your partner's addiction, maybe they're watching too much porn compulsively, maybe they've cheated, all the kind of stuff that's just brings you to a place of lying.
Or lying.
Right. bringing you to your
Lying.
knees and just not knowing what to do. This and when you go through this, it is very traumatic. It's a trauma. So the
Traumas
partner,
need to be treated accordingly.
and partners typically don't know what to do. They don't know where to look, where to turn, and what to do.
They feel very alone.
They feel very alone, and it's easy because it's like, okay, you get help. Well, what do I do? And that's something that I felt like when I dropped Craig off in the hospital, and I was like, okay, what do I do? And nobody had a good answer for me. So I created this guide that has helped a lot of people, and the partners really seem to like it. And it's called my Spouse Survival Guide, or Partner Survival Guide. And it's a guide of very simple things for you to start with and focus on. Because at the beginning, your brain is just going a mile a minute in all different directions, and you don't know where to go, where to turn, or what to think, or how to feel. So this was meant to kind of guide your thoughts, guide your emotions, and have a place to put them with some kind of, when I say guide you into something to do to just help you get through day to day. Really, that's really what this is intended to do at the beginning.
To give you a sense of control.
Give you a sense of control, give you a sense of groundedness, and give you a sense of, I'm going to be okay. Yeah. No matter what happens, I've got me, and I'm going to focus on me for a minute, and I'm going to be okay. And that's kind of what's probably the most important thing at the beginning.
That's the heart of it.
Yeah.
That's the heart of it.
So
what we're going to do today is we are going to go through them at a high level. We're going to dive into each one individually at a later time, where we're going to talk about each category and really unpack those, because I think there's a lot to be said about each of them.
Yeah, there is.
We'll have a couple of comments as we go throughout, but why don't you walk everybody through the 10. A woman has just discovered her husband's sex addiction or porn addiction. There's been lying about intimate acts. There's been secrets, and there is betrayal, trauma. These are some guidelines to help you create that sense of control. One just caveat that I want to say to everybody is different strokes for different folks. Not every method works for everybody. So it's very important for you to pick what works for you. What's causing you groundedness? What's de-escalating? What's making you feel safe? What's making you feel a better, even a little tiny better, to help you navigate this crisis. So these may be for you. They may not be for you. But here we go. Take it away.
Okay. So the first one is to allow yourself time to make any big decisions.
But isn't that weak? What if she doesn't make a decision, right? There's embarrassment there. There's shame there. There's a lot of pressure to kick them out, to deliver ultimatums. Why is that actually empowering?
Well, here's the reality is, when you are going through this, your brain is just on fight or flight. You're reacting.
Maybe freeze too. Fight, flight, freeze.
Actually, probably a lot of freeze. And you want to make a decision of what you think you should do because of something you may have read, or things that people tell you, or what you think that you have to do because you're in this situation, right? But I feel that is not the time necessarily for all people, for many people, to make that decision, because at that moment you are reacting from your fears and insecurities. And I personally felt it was better to take time to really figure out what it is that I truly want, because I want to act and react and make my decisions from a place of being empowered, from a place of strength. And I was not able to do that at the beginning.
Because it was such a mess.
It was such a mess. And I didn't want me staying to be a decision, and I didn't want me going to be a decision. I didn't know what was happening or what I was doing. And that was what was important to me. I did not have to make any decision either way, because I needed to heal myself and make that decision from a place of knowing what's right for me and my kids and my family. Okay. So that I feel is really important.
So by allowing yourself time to make any big decisions, that can be a place of empowerment. Mm-hmm. There are other cases where it may be important to make decisions quickly.
Yes.
This is an individual decision. And general rule of thumb, don't make decisions when you're angry. So that's like a general rule.
Well, and I also believe
so
right,
it's so sensitive too, like
is.
not make a decision. But I like to add that perspective.
It's good though, because in the end, I also believe that, and not everybody, should be forgiven, but I also believe that people can change with the right circumstance, obviously, because that's what we do. So if I were to make that decision,
crisis can be a catalyst for a significant change.
Yes, and he absolutely can do the work and change. And time will tell if he's going to rise to the occasion and do the work, or if he's not. And
sometimes it's the awakening. It's the moment.
Yes. I'm not saying that he's going to or he's not going to. And that's why for everybody, I think allowing yourself to take some time to make the decision that's right for you. That's what's important. And that is, I find, powerful and not weak.
Don't let people shame you into making decisions because of their insecurities. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. Okay, so the next one is very, very important. The next one is like almost everything, but I'd like you to say it.
Take care of yourself. And I know it's such a silly thing to say.
Ooh,
because I know.
Wow.
I said focus on me. I'm going to focus on me, or take care of you. And it's so
it's hard
cliche.
It's hard to say when someone is at that moment of crisis.
Yes.
And we're going to say it anyway.
Yes, it is. But at the end of the day, you have to, because it's if you went through a physical trauma, a physical thing,
which you did,
right? No,
but I know you in the example.
Then they would say you have to take care of yourself. You have to rest. You have to take care of yourself and heal. Well, when we go through an emotional trauma,
which is a physical trauma, interestingly enough,
which is the same as it is,
causes physical harm, right? You're sick to your stomach. You can't sleep. Other symptoms.
But we're still going to see it differently, or you can connect with it, but the physiology is the same. But anyway, my point is it's the same thing. So you have to take care of you, and you also have to take care of you, because when you go through this, remember, you're too strong. You don't feel it, but you're a woman, or maybe you're a man, right? But we as people have a lot of awesomeness in us, and we're also, a lot of us that are listening to this are parents. Yeah. So if you don't take care of you, you're not able to take care of anybody else. And I think that's really important too. So taking care of yourself, making sure you eat, sleep, exercise, hydrate, practice mindfulness. It's just so basic, but
connect with somebody.
Right.
Connect.
No, that's later.
Oh, that's another one.
Come on. Don't jump ahead.
Sorry.
That's not in the take care of you. That's not in our fundamental 5, but it's we
the basics of self-care.
Right. And we forget to take care of self-care, because you just have your habits, you go about the day, and you don't kind of think about those things. And when you're going through this, it's really apparent how much you don't, and you forget to do everything because you can't think, you can't sleep, you can't eat, or sometimes you maybe do the opposite. It just, right. you can't get out of bed. You're just eating for comfort, all that stuff.
Drinking, eating, other coping strategies.
Right. Taking care of you is probably the most important thing that you could do in this moment.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
And you need it.
You've been through a trauma, many traumas, many traumas, and it's in the body. And it's how you'd want, like you just like put on the oxygen mask. You have to put on the oxygen mask so you can help your kids. And often, just one point I want to make is what we see is this crisis of sex addiction and porn addiction. For many partners, it highlights how much they haven't been taking care of themselves. And this forces someone to look at that because they're caretakers, they're nurturers.
Yeah, it's just
they're giving, and now they like literally feel like they've been punched in the face.
Right, and a lot of us are moms, and so much goes to your kids that's a very natural thing.
Natural.
And so in this space,
you've probably been wiping his ass too.
And so it's really important to focus on yourself right now, so you can just get through the day. Okay. So
Mission critical, foundation. like, we're not going to get through all of them, but let's keep going.
Okay. The next one is to find support. You may feel like there is nobody out there. You're alone. Nobody's going through this. There's nobody can help. You're too embarrassed to talk to people about it.
There's shame around
There's
this
shame
issue.
around it. You don't know where to go, where to turn. The reality is, though, there's more people than you even can imagine going through this.
Right. You got to find a safe place to talk about
Now, it
it.
doesn't mean that you have to go to your family members.
No.
I didn't do that with mine. Well, I did once. I had to go on TV, and then I had to say something. But going to my family wasn't my first place. But I did go to some friends that were my college friends that know Craig and know everything that we had been through.
Another meltdown, and it's worse.
There's therapists, there's counselors, there's coaches, there's
community groups.
Communities. We have a partner program. There is people that talk about it online. There are people out there. There is support, places for support. And
we're going to talk about some of those specific places of support in another podcast and another post and other videos.
Connection can be really, really powerful, because feeling alone makes you feel worse. You are the only one. I'm not going to get through this. And having somebody to support you through this can be really, really helpful in these moments.
And the reality is the numbers of people who are struggling with these precise issues is absolutely staggering.
Yeah.
It has grown exponentially, and it continues to grow. You are not alone.
That's right.
You are not alone. Now, one comment on reaching out for support. Reach out to support that's going to lift you up, not bring you down.
Right.
That means that some people who you might use on support for some things might be judgmental, might be critical, might have push you to do something that we just talked about in step 1. Allow yourself not to make any big decisions. Take space for yourself to heal. So it is important when you reach out to support to be mindful of how sensitive these issues are, and set a goal for yourself to reach out to people who are going to lift you up. And that's not always easy, but it's important to have that
and support the decisions you're making.
Heart.
Right.
The people who are going to support the decisions that you're making. No one can get in your shoes. No one can judge you, and no one should shame you for doing what you're doing.
Right.
So finding support is really, really important. And please, if you're listening to us live, welcome. Craig and Michelle from The Mindful Habit. Our website is mindfulhabithelp.com. And we do have a program for spouses. It's the Partner Empowerment Group. And essentially, that is our betrayal trauma treatment program, healing program. Great community of women, expert support, and some videos and exercises that help you move forward quicker. That's really what all this support is going to do. Move you forward quicker so you don't have to stay stuck.
Right. Help you heal and move forward from a place of empowerment for you.
It sucks.
Yes.
You don't want to stay
But I
here.
will say this. It does suck. Horrifically. Worst thing ever. But like I've said this before, like within the community, I haven't said it on the podcast because I haven't been here in a long time, but I would never want to go through what I went through again. And the growth opportunity that it provided for me, I'm not sure that I would change it either, because I'm who I am today and I'm where I am because it kind of forced me to do, some work on myself that I really, really needed to do. And that was focusing on me and what I wanted and who I wanted to be. Because I really got lost in that with Craig and his challenges and my kids. And just, this was eye-opening for me, and important for me to go on this empowerment path and this empowerment journey. And so I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I was a terrible husband. So I just want to be absolutely abundantly clear about that. It's important, I think, to let these women know, or men who are watching, we know what you're going through, and let's Take on to the next one.
Okay. The next one is feel your feelings without judgment. Now that's a hard one.
What does that mean?
I know.
What does that mean?
Because
to
you have
feel your feelings without judgment.
You have so many feelings, and they're good. They're mostly bad right now. And we, in our heads, will judge those feelings, right? Like we'll judge that you're scared or you're traumatized, and you're judging them. Like
you feel weak,
yeah,
you feel
and so
bad about yourself.
You can't feel.
You blame yourself.
Right. And it's like I said to myself, oh my God, like what kind of person would have been with you all those times before this, right? Instead of me just feeling bad in the moment for what was happening, right? And I always really truly believe too that you could feel these feelings of despair,
pain,
right? And pain and
fear.
all that, but you can also let positive sit there with it, because it doesn't take away everything. And that's how sometimes we feel like it's all or nothing, right? And so if it's all, it's bad. And you really
I like that description.
Yeah, it's not all or nothing. And it's this is horrible, but I can also have this. And so learning, which is really, really hard, learning to have all your feelings sitting side by side is a real learning. That's a really hard thing to learn to do, but really, really important for us to really understand our emotions, and allow them to sit there together without smothering each one of them or judging each one of them, right? Because you've got to let your feelings pass through you during this. That's right. You've got to feel them. You've got to process them. But it also doesn't have to be everything about everything in your life. There is some happiness that you have in these moments, right? What I found my happiness was with my kids. You know, so I didn't want to be able to take away the time and energy I have with my kids, because this is completely overwhelming me. So,
and it was,
but I had to feel my feelings and I had to not run away from them either, because they had to be felt. I couldn't stuff them down, but I couldn't let them take over completely either.
It's a paradox.
Even though it feels like it's going to.
It's a paradox, and I think it's one of the ultimates of self-help.
Yeah.
Being able to sit in the pain, because if you don't feel it, it doesn't go away. Right? There's a tendency for some spouses to, the pain is so great, they have to escape from that pain. Alcohol is an example of how people escape from that pain.
Right.
So they have to escape. So you have to feel it. You have to feel it. If you don't feel it, it doesn't go away. That which you resist persists. Right.
But you have to feel it in a way where it doesn't completely overwhelm and take over.
So what you're describing is perspective, allowing the light to shine in when there is light, taking time to focus on the positive, as difficult as that may be. And it's possible. It's possible. Just open the door for that possibility of being able to allow some of that positive in.
And remember, you can
allow yourself to have all these thoughts without judging them. They don't have to mean you're bad. They don't have to mean you have to do something.
Right, but it doesn't always, for some women, it's not going to mean you're bad.
Yeah, no,
it's not going to always mean I'm bad. Is that, well, not it's obviously you did something bad, right? But it means it sometimes means that I'll never recover. I'll never be able to move on. I am you've taken everything from me. You've taken everything from me.
The cognitive distortion is called catastrophizing.
Right. And it feels that way, and it really does. But and it's okay to feel it, right? But just remember that doesn't
you are a strong woman, and you've overcome so much to get where you are. This is your hero's journey, and that's and it's terrible, and it's horrible, and you're strong.
And feeling your feelings, and knowing that you're going to get through this. And that's really all it is at this point.
That's it.
Is just knowing you're going to get through this.
You're going to get through this.
And you're going to get through this. That just might take a little time and a little self-nurturing. Okay? Okay. It doesn't feel like that in the moment, though.
No.
Right.
Let's do one more.
Okay. Okay, the next one was practice mindfulness.
That sounds so ridiculous at that lowest point. I like to start with that because I want to
However,
acknowledge that. I'm not disagreeing with you.
no, I know. I was going to say, however, it does sound ridiculous, and it sounds like who wants to do mindfulness? But it was the only thing that helped me survive.
Reduces depression, reduces anxiety, reduces PTSD. You have like PTSD symptoms.
Yes. And
man, your partner right now literally has PTSD symptoms. Remember that and be kind.
And that didn't even go through my head at the beginning. Why mindfulness was so important for me. And for that reason, practicing mindfulness in life is really important, especially when you're going through these things. Because it calms the mind, it helps the ruminating thoughts just calm and stop and being and helps you be present, right? But at the end of the day, it was the only way. It was it was like a self-survival thing. It wasn't even thinking of any of that. It was because I couldn't breathe.
Your
I couldn't.
shoulders, your arms were hurting.
Yeah, my knees. I was going numb from the knees down. I had bursitis in my arms. I couldn't lift my arms, and I couldn't breathe sometimes because my heart was racing. And I didn't know you had gotten fired. I didn't know what was happening, where we were getting, money. I was a stay-at-home mom with the kids. I had 2 young kids. We just moved out to California, and so the only way I could calm my brain was literally mindfulness. It was a self-survival thing, and my mindfulness was literally just a visualization breathing exercise. And it would take me like 10, 15 minutes to calm down, but I kept with it and I did. And it was the only thing that kind of kept me afloat in those moments where I thought I was going to be washed. I always say I was swirling in the toilet bowl of despair. I always like that expression. And then I felt like I was going to get flushed down. And mindfulness really helped me in those moments of extreme panic, anxiety, whatever you want to call it. But so all those
like
things,
panic attacks.
all those things you said were totally like accurate. But in the beginning, sometimes it's literally just a survival thing. At least for me, it was.
One of the things that I like to say, because we talk about some of these issues in the partner empowerment program, I like to acknowledge that I was an abusive husband. And I know, Michelle has her own feelings about it, and we'll talk. That's a very strong, powerful word. But I didn't physically cause those injuries, but I did with my actions, my lies, my gaslighting, my anger, my disrespect, anyway, the list could go on and on and
that's
on
for another
and
episode.
on and on. And I just want to acknowledge that because I think it's important to put that in perspective. And I'm sorry.
Thank you.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I have to acknowledge that. So, I mean, we're kind of in teach mode. We teach and we've been through a lot. We talk about this stuff a lot. So anyway, when we're in academic mode, I think sometimes I lose some compassion and feeling. So just wanted to acknowledge that.
Well, thank you.
All right.
We don't.
I think
that we should end it here.
We should end it with practicing mindfulness. How might one practice mindfulness? What did you do to practice mindfulness? You mentioned it, but I would like, how did Michelle practice mindfulness? You talked about why it was so important. What exactly did you do to relieve the physical pain of betrayal trauma?
How did I practice mindfulness? There are apps out there that you can use.
No, what did you do?
Well, I used the apps too, but
sorry.
I did mostly what I did was I did a breathing visualization exercise where I always feel very connected to the earth. And so I would just sit there with my feet planted on the ground, and I would just picture myself being kind of grounded into the earth, kind of like my feet had like roots, like a tree. And it would kind of go into the earth, and then it just kind of it would just a breathing, and I would just focus the breath going, and I would just focus on, and in the survival guide, I kind of talk about what you would do, but focus on like a color, like a purple kind of cord that was kind of just going through my body up through the ground. And I would just focus on it kind of going to every part of my body. And I would focus on the body. So like when I would get to the heart, or I get to my knees, which really were like numb, I would kind of focus like I had a heating pad there. And I would just focus on this thing kind of healing me in all the different parts of my body. So when it would get to like the heart, it would kind of swirl around. It would give it a big hug. I would feel the warmth of it, and then it would kind of go up to my head. And then once it got there, then it would go back down. And I would just kind of visualize it kind of going through all the parts of my body, and making me feel safer, and calming the brain, and calming the hyperventilating, that kind of thing. And it was very helpful because it brought me into a present state, and it gave me something to focus on besides my swirling panic.
Yeah. Well, and reach out to support at themindfulhabit.com if you are interested in the exact guided visualization and meditation that Michelle's talking about. It. We will totally do another video, because I think that would be important if someone had, and it's not just, here's what I did, here's why it helped me, and that might help you find what's going to work for you. Yeah. Okay. Anything that you can do to center yourself, to relieve the distress tolerance, this toxic load is in your body of fear, and is pain. So mindfulness can be a really important tool for you. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up here, and I want to say thank you to my beautiful bride for joining me. It's been a while, but it's time. We want to talk about some really important things, and we think it'd be really helpful.
And we have 4 more to go through that we'll go through next time.
In our next
part 2.
In part 2, we'll do the next 4, and we will go through each one individually, because there's a lot there to learn. So thank you for watching. If you are struggling with sex addiction and porn addiction, we are sorry. Check out our YouTube channel, The Mindful Habit. A lot of free resources. This podcast is Sex Afflictions and Porn Addictions, and you can find this recording on any of our social media channels. And if you do need help, and think that one of our programs might be able to help you, visit www.mindfulhabithelp.com. We're sorry you're watching, and we hope we can help. And we're happy you're watching, but we're sorry you're going through this.
We're sorry you have to be here, but we're happy that you're watching
helps.
us. Yeah.
Thank you. And if anybody has any questions in the comments, we can pause here and answer them. Just check in to see if anybody has any questions before we wrap up. Feel free to post them in the chat. Like and subscribe, and all that good stuff.
It's a tough word.
We're going to do this again. And thank you so much for listening. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.